Hi there, second graders, and welcome back to Listening and Learning with Miss Catrone from Citizenship Academy. So, as you know, we have been following the lives of a couple immigrants. Remember that immigrants are somebody who leaves one country and moves and settles down in a different country. Now, a lot of people during this time period, it's about 1880 to 1920, it's almost 100 to 120 years ago, so a long time ago. These people are leaving their countries and settling down in the United States. The reason that they were coming to the United States is because we had a lot of job opportunities here and different opportunities for them to make more money and have a better life. Now, we've learned about a couple of different immigrant centers. That is where, it's like a big building where a lot of immigrants would come through. If you came through New York City, then you would likely go to Ellis Island, which is right in New York City. It's near the Statue of Liberty. So when they saw the Statue of Liberty, they knew that they had landed where they wanted to be. Now, if you came from the West Coast, that's on the other side of the country, you came through San Francisco, which is in California, and you would come through Angel Island. Now, we learned about a couple different push and pull factors. So one reason that people were pulled to the United States was because we had a lot of job opportunities, like I said, and the opportunities for a better life. Now, different reasons that people were pushed out of their country is maybe that there was a war in their country, that it was a hard time finding a job, that there was sickness there. Today, you're actually going to learn about a group of people that are Irish immigrants, which means they came from Ireland, and they were pushed out of their country at this time because of a potato famine. Now, a potato famine just meant that a lot of people at this time grew and ate potatoes, which I don't know about you, but I love potatoes. Specifically, I love French fries. And, but it's not. It was much worse than that because they didn't have the crops. They couldn't grow. Farmers were out of jobs. And then also people were out of food. So there wasn't a lot of food to eat. And people were going hungry. And that was a big reason that people were pushed out of their country at this time into the United States. So as you guys are listening to the story today, I want you to find out what made the United States a land of opportunity for families who emigrated. Emigrated is a word, it sounds so close to immigrated. Emigrated is spelled with an E, and it means that they're leaving their country. So why did they emigrate from Ireland? Because of the potato famine. Alrighty, I'm gonna share my screen with you, and we're gonna get started. Alrighty, here we are. Okay, so we're gonna start right off, and we have a picture of a healthy potato farm and an unhealthy or a potato farm that is not growing crops. So one of the push factors, like I was telling you guys, in the year 1845, is that the potato crop in Ireland, it was the main food crop there. So it's what people were eating a lot of and farming a lot of, and it's all of a sudden it died and it wasn't growing anymore. And when this happened, many people in Ireland had very little to eat. They were going hungry. So many people decided to immigrate or settle down in the United States for a better life and job opportunities. So that's where we are right now. Alrighty, guys. Remember, we're trying to find out why the United States is a land of opportunity. So without further ado, let's get started. For once, nope, that's not where we're going to get started. Okay, here we go. That's where we're going to get started. Thank you guys for being patient with me. Sometimes technology can be tricky. For once, Sean and Fiona Murphy were grateful for the crowds of people on their street in New York City. It was a freezing cold day in 1858, and all those bodies helped block the powerful wind blowing in from the Hudson River. Fiona told Sean, "Let's go into Uncle Brendan's," and a minute later, they entered their uncle's little restaurant named Murphy's, after their family. The cold followed them in, so they quickly shut the door behind themselves. A familiar voice called out, "Well now, look at who the cat dragged in." It was Uncle Brendan. "It wasn't a cat," Sean laughed. "It was Fiona. I'm hungry, Uncle Brendan." "You're a 15-year-old boy," his uncle answered. "You're always hungry. Sit down and I'll get each of you a plate. But Sean, don't you eat so much that you leave nothing left for my paying customers." So if we know that these two kids, they're living in New York City, it's crowded. Remember, the cities are always crowded. And they go into their Uncle Brendan's shop. Here we have Aunt Kathleen and Fiona are talking. Just then, Aunt Kathleen came out from the kitchen and walked over. Quietly, she asked, "How's your ma?" Fiona grew serious. "Not so good, Auntie. She says she should be used to this cold after living in a drafty one-room shack back in Ireland, but this New York winter is doing something to her. And you know, Pa, he never says he's worried, but when he was home last month, I could see it in his eyes. I've been wishing he could come home more." Kathleen replied, "He's lucky to have a job. Working to lay railroad tracks out west may take him away often, but his pay is putting food in your mouth and paying for whatever heat we can get in our home." Fiona's family, including her aunt and uncle, had been sharing a tiny apartment ever since they had emigrated, which means moved, from Ireland to settle in the United States. Uncle Brendan's restaurant, Murphy's, was doing well now, but he and his brother Peter, Sean and Fiona's father, were still paying back the money they owed for buying the restaurant. Any money they earned helped the whole family. So it sounds like her dad has to travel each month to go lay railroad tracks out west, and then he can come back to New York City to visit. By now, plates of food had appeared in front of Sean and Fiona. Sean breathed in the familiar smells of the food from his home country, Ireland. "Ah, bacon, joint, and potatoes," he told Aunt Kathleen. "It reminds me of Ireland every time I smell your cooking." Bacon joint is a traditional Irish dish, and it's made up of various pieces of smoked and salted pork. "It should," she answered, "since I cook the same foods for you there. Only we have more to eat here." There was never enough food to eat after the potato blight ruined our main food source in Ireland. A blight is a kind of plant disease that causes a sudden death of a plant. So they call it potato blight because that disease killed off all the potatoes. "Even your pa, the strongest man I know, was getting weak from hunger. It's a blessing to come to a country where there's food to eat. The land of opportunity, indeed. Back in Dublin, Ireland, we worked just as hard and had a lot less." Based on what I just read, what does the phrase land of opportunity mean? And why does Aunt Kathleen call the United States the land of opportunity? Land of opportunity means a country where people can work hard and be rewarded well for their hard work. So they're working really hard and they're making money and being able to put food on the table. Aunt Kathleen says the United States is the land of opportunity because her family can work hard and has enough food to eat and earns more for their hard work than they did in Ireland. So she was saying that in Ireland they worked just as hard, but they didn't have these kind of supplies. "Hey," said Uncle Brendan, "we would never have been able to own a restaurant back in Ireland, and even if we could have, no one had the money enough to be a paying customer. We had so many hardships back home. We complained when all we had to eat in Ireland was potatoes, but we suffered tremendously when the potatoes were no longer there. Our family had to pay a lot of money to immigrate to America, and even with all the difficulty we were going through, it has all been worth it. We have a good place to live in a neighborhood of Irish folks like us. Sure, some people have been a little hostile towards us, but there's more food on our table than we've ever had back in Ireland. And crowded as it may be, I prefer New York City to farming the rocky Irish soil. Still, I do miss a lot of folks we left behind when we emigrated from Ireland." So he's saying that even though it is crowded here, he prefers it because they have a lot of food to eat and they can own a restaurant and there's a lot of good opportunities in this country. But he misses his people he left back home. All right, this is Uncle Brendan greeting Michael Connolly. As he was saying this, the door opened and a voice shouted out, "Well, I'm glad to hear that, Brendan, for we've got no plans to go back." Uncle Brendan's face burst into a huge grin. "Michael Connolly!" he exclaimed. Turning, he saw his old neighbors from Ireland walking through the door. They were new immigrants to the United States now. After a happy reunion, Brendan said, "Sit down all, we'll bring you a good, warm meal." Later, after the Connolly family was full of Kathleen's hearty food, Brendan asked Michael, "Have you a place to stay? And what are you doing about work?" "We are staying with my brother for now," his old neighbor replied. "As for work," he shrugged. "I'd hire you myself," Brendan said, "but I couldn't afford to pay you." If Brendan couldn't afford to pay Michael, that means he didn't have enough money or wouldn't be able to pay Michael for the work that he would be doing for his job. But there's a fellow here from the old country who needs wagon drivers to deliver ice in the summer and coal for the fires in the winter. No man alive knows more about horses than you do, Michael. I'll take you to meet him. It's hard work, but what isn't? At least you'll be near your new home, not like my brother Peter out west laying railroad tracks with a pick and a shovel. So remember that one special thing about the immigrants is that if they came from the same country, like all these people came from Ireland, when they came to the United States, they all really lived near each other and they helped each other a lot. They helped each other find a place to live, find a job, just like Uncle Brendan is helping Michael Connolly find a job. Alrighty, let's keep going. At this, his niece, Fiona, said, "But not for long, Uncle. That's what I'm starting to tell you. We got a letter. Pa says his boss thinks so highly of his work that he is bringing him back to New York City to work in an office." Her brother Sean added, "Pa will be home at the end of the month. He says that it's a lucky thing that he can read and write, or he would not have been given this new job opportunity. He says it will pay better than building the railroads out west. What's even better is that he will now be close to home to care for Mom. You should have seen her face when I read her the letter. I think maybe she'll get better now with Pa around." Uncle Brendan nodded. "Hey, Sean, when your pa is around, your mother perks up like a flower that just got water. And see how important it is that you and Fiona learn to read and write so well at an early age. One day you'll have better job opportunities than any of us." Their pa's coming home and he gets to have a good job because he is well educated. He knows how to read and write. Sean smiled. "Fiona and I are very lucky now to live here in the land of opportunity, but we will never forget where we came from and what sacrifices our family made to get here." How does Sean feel about immigrating to the United States? I hear that he feels lucky, but he's never going to forget the sacrifices that was made. I like that our character strength this week is gratitude, because he sounds like he's very grateful that his family has made these sacrifices for him. "Well," said Uncle Brendan, "it seems we all have a great deal to be grateful for here in America. Kathleen and I are lucky enough to own a restaurant. The Connollys are newcomers here. My brother will be with us soon and working a better job. And I believe your ma will get better children. All in all, I say that as hard as challenges are sometimes, coming to America was a good idea." Alrighty. All right. We're going to quickly do our vocab word, and then you'll have a Google form that we'll go over in just a minute. So our vocabulary word for today is afford. My turn. Afford. Your turn. Good job. So to afford means to have enough money for something, especially money or time available to buy or do something. So if I want a new pair of sneakers, I have to see if I have enough money to buy them, if I can afford them. If I want to, maybe if I want to go for a run, I have to see if I have enough time, if I can afford to, before the sun goes down, because I don't want to be running in the dark. After practicing for several months for a concert, Mary was able to afford a few days without practice when she was sick. So she was able to take a few days because she had practiced a ton before. Have you ever been able to afford to do something? In your Google form, I'm going to have you try to use that word in a sentence. Alrighty, guys, that is all that I have for you today. Oh, actually, that's not true, because I'm going to pause it super quickly, and I'm going to pull up your Google form, and then we're going to go over that together. So I hope you enjoyed this story, and we're going to go over your Google form in just a moment. Alrighty, guys, so I'm going to quickly share with you our Google form for today. I think you guys are going to do an awesome job with this. So let me just get sharing. Okay. Let me try again. Hope this one works. There we go. Okay, so our title of our story today was From Ireland to New York City. So from Ireland to New York City, listen to the read aloud for Domain 11, Lesson 4. That's what you're doing right now. And complete the form. All right, first things first, your name. That's easy. Second thing second, what country did our characters immigrate from? Italy, Ireland, or China? What pushed the family out of Ireland? They didn't have enough food, there was war in their country, or they were sick. Why did they leave? What pulled them to America? They had good jobs, there were lots of games here, they had nice beaches. Lastly, where do they live in America? Do they live in Florida, New York City, or Syracuse? Alrighty guys, 4 easy questions, you got it. I believe in you. If you have any questions, make sure you come to office hours. You can dojo me and I'll answer anything that you have. I miss you guys so much. I can't wait to talk to you soon. Have a great night. Bye guys.